Okay, so hello guys. We're gonna we're gonna talk about a what if. You know, what if the game Genshin Impact has no end game content, right? So specifically an end game combat based content. So you guys play the game because I'm talking about it, right? And it's in the title. So you see, the game has a very good combat based design, right? We get elemental reactions. We actually can make a lot of teams, right? And it's quite enjoyable in trying to min max stuff like that. So the game without it first would be just it's just a waste, right? You make a very great game, very good game, very good characters, design, gameplay. The reaction, I really like it. The combat too, it's actually very fun. So without a combat based end game, it just feels like it's a waste, right? So because the world of this game is actually not too hard. If you played every from the start to the beginning to the end, it's not that hard. The enemies, they scale with your level most of the time, right? So the moment you hit AR 30, you basically have access to 5 stars artifact, right? And even level your characters to 5 stars. So everything throughout Manstant to Sumeru, it would be just a breeze. And I do not think they will ever try to actually make the overworld harder, right? There's no way. This will always stay the same. The difficulty will always stay the same, right? So what would happen if there's no endgame content? Next would be zero challenge. There's zero challenge for players to take into. I know a lot of the players of this game in the database of this game are mostly players who never do abyss. They just play the game for fun, like log in, go around, smack some things, collect flowers, like just like that. And you know, if you think about that, what the players who actually tries to be min maxing, speed running, the players who tries to level characters are those are the players that are actually gonna stay playing the game no matter what, right? Because they spend a lot of time in the game trying to level a certain team characters. So of course you have to play it. So if you're a casual, even if you spend money, right? I know some people or players, like, they spend money in the game, but they don't really try to do a beast, right? They don't even try their hardest to actually play the game. Like, they just log in. Like, why you just wasted your money, right? You should just try a beast, right? Or any hard content. Like, what's the point of all of that, right? So next would be the tier list, right? Tier list would be actually non-existent because there's no end game. Since we're talking about what if there's no end game, right? There would be no meta. There would be no tier list. Everything is S tier. This is just basically JPEG, like that. No? So it's like, what's the point of trying to build characters, right? Because there's no hard content. Like, if you play Arc Knights, there are actually hard content on the game, right? Like Annihilation, and some story or event is actually freaking hard. So if this game is actually super easy, like 100% easier than most games. Like, even a 10-year-old could finish this game without problems, right? Because it's not that hard. You collect artifacts, you mix and match them. Oh shit, and there's not much of a problem, right? So next would be pulling for constellations. That's one of the main things I think. Like without endgame content, there's no point on trying to get C6. C6 5 star, C6 4 star. There's 0 point, right? Oops. There's no point on all of that. There's no point for pulling for weapons. No point for pulling for no. There would be no point for trying to level your talents, right? So it's kind of sad. Like that would just you just gonna waste entire time without an endgame content that actually utilizes the combat system of the game. It's just kind of what a waste, right? Even if you're a casual, and if you're a casual, you're obviously not gonna level anything to the max, right? You're just probably gonna play the game when you have time to play the game. That's just how it is. Even if you spend a lot of money in the game, like what's the point? You're wasting for something. You're wasting because there's something that you can utilize that, right? So that would be for C6, it's the abyss, right? And should be harder content. If I'm being honest, even if there's a gap between free to play and pay to win, there should be places where even a whale can actually try to spend their what they cost. Like, let me say this. You know, guys, Tony Talk, right? He's a YouTuber that does this insane 5 star C6 something character like that, right? He does those stuff, right? He's insane, right? But imagine having all those C6. Imagine having all those 5 stars. But there's nothing in the game that's like really challenging enough for you to actually use those, right? There's nothing that would make you feel like, oh, I'm glad I got all these constellations. I'm glad I got all this R5 refined weapon, right? Because there's no point for that. There's no content that could handle that. So it's like having a having a sports car that is extremely lowered, very fast, but there's no road. It's only rough road. There's only rocks, or in case this is just a desert, right? You can ride a sports car in here. It's just gonna get destroyed, right? There's no road. Like it's useless. It's just what a waste if I'm being honest, right? You can be fun for him because he's a content creator, but if you're not, you're just oh my god, you just wasted a lot of money for nothing, right? Even if you're a casual, honestly, if you're a casual, just getting a single copy is enough, right? You do not overextend, right? Do not try to pull for more. Abyss, the current end game of the game, like it's fine, but the only hard part is floor 11 and 12, and actually it's just decently hard, right? It's actually just decently hard, right? It's just like the perfect balance for hard, but there's only two of them, right? It's not enough, let's be honest. They could just copy paste it 3 times 6 times permanently, and they can even like remove the primo gems, right? Just give us some materials. That would have been fine too, but they don't want to do that because they don't care, right? So let's go to the other thing. What would happen is because if there's no end game, it's just like, as I said, no min max, there's no point. And the next would be like, it would just become a login game, right? Like one of those gacha game that you log in, you try to complete the daily quest, and it's gonna be over, right? Trying to collect everything in this game is just such a insane insane amount of time, right? But most of the players don't really give a fuck about that. You don't really care about that, right? So here's the thing. There's such something that it's just you're wasting a lot of resources and time, and there's no point. It kind of only applies to players who never really get invested in the game in the first place, right? Like example, if you're a very casual player, like one of my friends, she just plays some time in the game. She just still pulls, spends money, and I ask her how what's her abyss. Like she hasn't played abyss. Like what the heck? Like that's just a waste, practically speaking, right? But it's also fine because there are kind of players like that, and that's why Mihoyo is choosing that option because there's not enough people who actually likes hard content, right? So but the thing is, in the recent interview, they said that it's because of the anxiety. Honestly, it's like something's wrong with their head, right? Trying to add an extremely hard content wouldn't necessarily give a huge impact. In fact, there's not no impact at all. That in actually just positive. Like it's such a simple thing. Like they could just add an end game. So and everybody's gonna be happy because the casual players is still not gonna care. So I'm assuming they're just gonna hold that off. We're probably gonna put that last if they have a list to do, but I don't think they do because they haven't even done anything that actually warrants us players wanting, right? Most of the stuff they do are something that already is in there. They're just following it, but they aren't really listening to the players. Or even if they would listen to players, they would only listen to their main player base, which is China, right? So I'm pretty much just off tangent here, but there are a lot of what if in this game. Like this having no end game is just I feel kind of empty, right? The game feels kind of empty. Like after I keep doing this, just beating all these super easy enemies, it's just where can I even test this? The boss are very much gimmicky in this game, right? Not a lot of the boss in this game are extremely tough. Chad is such a just basically like as strong as a Hilichurl, right? This guy is just a gimmick character, a enemy. I mean, Raiden is also very much a gimmick. Like Signora is also a gimmick character. So to make that difficult, they're just making their mechanics harder, right? So I think that's not enough. I think they just should just make characters that over level 100 the enemies. Just put them in a single domain. Endless. Oh god. But anyway, that's it guys. These are just me rambling, and these are all just my opium which already is gone, and I'm just venting. I think TCG, huh? You wish that TCG would last after a week. Ha!